than they were 8 years ago. Better side. A couple players from that 2018 team are still here. We're seeing as being one of them.
They do bring with them a fair bit of experience as well as some youth and enthusiastic youngsters. Martinez trying to get on the end here, and down he goes. A lot of appeals from the stands, but in truth, not too many from the field.
No, the referee's well placed, but there was some contact there for sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens on the replay.
For now, it's Martinez and Waterman and Barcenas. Moving it on to Rodriguez. Blackman, with options arriving in the middle. Helped out by Andrade, who put that just a little too close to a goalkeeper who was clattered. Maybe the challenge and the reaction dividing opinion a little out there.
It was pretty good goalkeeping because you know there's going to be some contact here. There's certainly one little bit of Poku, his own defender, coming in there as well. And here is this opportunity where there was an appeal on Martinez. Is there enough there? Not clear and obvious, but a tight call with a really clever run and a good ball in that is causing kind of some problems in behind.
It's one that you'd shout for, isn't it? But ultimately, I think maybe the referee explaining there to Christian Martinez, he never truly had full control of the ball. It goes into the category perhaps of coming together rather than a foul.
And I think the players, they appeal for it because in the interpretation of referees, it can be different. And the angles of different referees. We've seen with the referee cam, this gives you a really good idea a lot of times of what they're looking at and the angle that they're looking at. They need support too from the assistants.
Conversation continues. And Nyberg just justifying his thoughts on this.
If the ball fell in front of Rodriguez, you would think that that would maybe have changed the look and the decision of the official. The fact that he wasn't able to reach it. Great run, like I said, and putting himself in those positions that really, really difficult. And as well as expecting a clatter from that big man who's you don't want to get run into.
And Christian Martinez with 4 goals for his side this season. Club level. It's actually the youngest goal scorer in Columbus Crew's MLS history on his debut 10 years ago as a 19-year-old. Played a bit of football in the United States, Cincinnati, Chicago Fire, Las Vegas Lights, amongst others. Half-time is on the horizon. Panama pressing for that opening goal. Barcenas, warned by a few thousand to hurry up a little. Cross from Martinez, Atizigi out again, and once again, clattered again. And up on his feet just to see the strike, which was a little wild, go high and wide from Ramos.
Great work. They have some good width, Panama, when they've delivered balls in from both sides of the park. That's a good ball. The goalkeepers as well. Again, he's had a few challenges and a really good save in the first half here.
Well, it is physical out there, isn't it? And those who wait in the wings look to get stuck in and may get a chance. few of those Panama players who are waiting for their moment to shine. Not quite, perhaps, up to speed after injury to play. Aníbal Godoy, who we saw there. Adalberto Carrasquilla as well. Another one who's missed the last couple of warm-up matches with injury and therefore might just have to wait that little bit longer. Godoy, of course, Panama's most capped player of all time, 159 caps, the 36-year-old.
He's been a very good performer in Major League Soccer over the years. Well represented the league here in this World Cup.
Carlos Harvey with the ball through, and Atezigi very swiftly out at the feet of Murillo. He's got to scurry back in now. All hands to the pump for Ghana. Martinez manages to dig the cross out. Owusu there to welly it away. There's an awful lot going in that direction in this first half.
There has been. I mean, Panama, other than scoring, have done a pretty good job controlling this match. And like I said, the width is very good. They just basically put men on the touchline on the other side and really relied on their goalkeeper, Ziggy, who has been sharp in this first half and probably having a little bit more work to do than he would have thought.
What an atmosphere we have here. Regardless of the quality of football, this game was always going to be lively in the stands. And for all the right reasons.
For all the right reasons, yeah, it's been brilliant. The whole thing. City and see fans from both sets coming together and just really enjoying themselves and enjoying the occasion. That's what I said, the World Cup is all about that, and it's now the games are underway. It's been delightful.
So many Ghana shirts and Panama shirts strolling around Toronto in the last couple of days. Rodriguez. Blackman in support, just gave him too much to do.
They're very good at creating these. Well, we have a goalkeeper down. Ziggy's on the deck. The way Panama create these little overloads on either side of the pitch when they switch it so well and get support across, which creates some space for them to get balls in the box, which they've done on several occasions, and hence why maybe the goalkeeper has picked up a knock here, because he's come for 3 or 4 brilliantly well.
Well, this, of course, is where those in reserve start to wonder if it might be their chance at a World Cup. Of course, previously we've seen a goalkeeper perhaps go to ground. We've been sceptical about their welfare, and teams have rushed across to the side to have an extra tactical conversation. That's not allowed at this World Cup. The players very much have to stay in the middle of the field or in their positions.
You can see the fourth official actually doing that with a few of the players that were just wandering over toward the bench. That's not allowed. I think it's a good rule. The angle of one of the collisions that he's had, 3 or 4.
Those clashes, the first of them 11 minutes ago, he's had a fair while to sort of see if the body is working the way he would like it to work. There has been a big conversation about goalkeeping from a Ghana point of view. Joseph Anang and Benjamin Assar are the two on the bench who would don the gloves if required. It's a 30th cap for Lawrence Atezigi tonight. Says he actually never wanted to be a keeper. He went in one day when there was no one else to do it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes with goalkeepers. Maybe with all the knocks he's had so far in this match, maybe that was a good reason why not to. But he's been brilliant so far. And there was question marks about goalkeeping for this side coming in too. So far, so good.
Good challenge there to sweep the ball away by Suleimana. Gudenci, and then the touch forward by Nuama, who was taken down. Stern look towards Carlos Harvey there by the referee.
We haven't seen Panama get on the wrong side of people yet, and haven't really had that many fouls. They've done a very good job in the way they've been able to stay on their feet, not committing. And really, you have to be honest, Ghana have created absolutely nothing so far in this first half, and they look a side that is struggling in some confidence.
Well, they haven't had an attempt on goal yet, Ghana, and no team has gone a whole half without an attempt at this World Cup final so far. Maybe this is their moment. Nuama. Well, it wasn't worth the wait, was it? An offside flag went up in any case, but it was way off target by Senea.
I think Semenyo was very impressed with that himself. Good position from Panama. Really aware of where they are defensively. Squeezing up to the halfway line. Terrific ball in the end product for Ghana.
Well, up until that moment, Antoine Semenyo had not had a touch of the ball for over 20 minutes. The 22nd minute, the last time he touched the ball. And we're now in added time, a minimum of 5 minutes at the end of this half. We did wonder whether he might perhaps play a little more centrally today than he does for Manchester City or in the past for Bournemouth, just because they might want to build the play around him, but that's not the case. Although he's started to move more central now.
And that's where I would think he would be at his best. And quite honest, I think we'll see that more in the second half. Need to get him on the ball, Semenyo.
Well, the warm-ups continue because Lawrence Ati-Zigi is not necessarily 100% comfortable. Half-time will be interesting. He'll get a chance to be properly, thoroughly assessed. Nuama with Rodriguez right there with him, pestering him all the way. Now the battle resumes, going in the other direction. Senea helping out.
At this level, when you see players get into the opposition third, you see that space close down so quickly, you have to move the ball sharply than you would do at lower levels.
On from Harvey. To Giovanni Ramos. He has it back again. Andrade. Cesar Blackman just started moving ahead of him, but they couldn't quite find a way through to him. Ayew. Nuama. Good strong running from Owusu. It was just about, has he managed to keep it in? No. He's a player who will relish these finals because he was part of Ghana's World Cup squad last time around, but was unused in all the matches.
It was a little bit better from Ghana getting some bodies down into that corner to try to get a ball in the box, which they've done rarely, if at all, in this first half. The gaps between them, the forwards and the midfield, sometimes is a little bit too vast. Get up in close proximity. A little disorganized, Ghana.
Hula, hula. Hula, hula. Hula guys, hula, hula. Ghana kontra Panama. Vamos, vamos.
Here's Semenyo. Cordoba right at his back. Manchester City against Norwich City there from the English game. As Semenyo is taken out. Not very happy with the challenge.
A little bit brighter, though, from Semenyo. Getting in areas of the pitch where he can actually affect the game. But well marked. Panama has done their homework, obviously, on these players. Know the ones that are going to hurt you. Tight this time. They gave away a sloppy free kick.
I wonder if this could be costly. There won't be time for much more after this free kick. Ghana have offered precious little going forward in this first half, but this is a presentable opportunity for them. Here's a packed penalty area. It's a decent delivery, and it's seen away just about. Owusu keeps it alive and can do nothing with it.
Udah 50 guys, 50.
And that is half-time. Brings to an end a first half in which Panama have had more of the ball and carried more of the threat, but without reward as yet. Cecilio Waterman going closest, but Lawrence Atizigi sprawling to save to deny him. I wonder what we'll see in the second half from these two. At the break, it's Ghana 0, Panama 0.
0-0.
Well, Panama will be the happier of the two sides, you think, at the break, the way they...
Ya, 0-0 hasil yang pastinya tidak diinginkan oleh kedua tim. Ini menarik melihat bagaimana jalannya babak pertama. Justru Ghana tidak terlihat seperti yang kita harapkan, Bung Erwin.
Ya, prediksi di awal pertandingan kan saya memperkirakan Ghana bisa menguasai permainan, bisa unggul gitu ya. Tapi ternyata tidak seperti itu yang kejadian di lapangan. Justru Panama mendapatkan banyak peluang, lebih unggul dalam hal possession. Nanti kita coba lihat di statistik. Dan yang mengejutkan memang Ghana dengan pemain-pemain yang ada Semenyo, ada Ayu, tapi justru mereka tidak bisa banyak membuat peluang. Bahkan tidak ada yang on target tadi di sepanjang babak pertama. Ini kan sebuah kerugian tentunya bagi Ghana.
Ya, ini menjadi catatan besar ya bagi Ghana untuk segera memperbaiki bagaimana permainan mereka di babak kedua. Dan Bung Arul, bagaimana Anda melihat jalannya babak pertama tadi dengan Ghana yang tidak sesuai harapan, justru Panama yang lebih banyak memberikan ancaman?
Iya, kita semua tadi sepakat ya kalau misalnya Ghana harusnya akan menguasai jalan pertandingan di babak pertama. Cuma apa yang terjadi, ini yang saya lihat adalah mungkin ini adalah strategi yang disiapkan memang oleh Carlos Queiroz, di mana Ghana ini punya pemain depan semuanya cepat semua larinya, dan mungkin emang sengaja memberikan Panama possession, diberikan pegang bola untuk mengincar
oleh Panama ya, oleh pelatih Thomas Christiansen. Dan bisa dilihat peluang sebetulnya dikuasai oleh Panama. Jadi Panama dari statistik oke, dari ketika mereka main juga banyak mendapatkan peluang meskipun belum bisa mencetak gol. Jadi Panama bisa dibilang unggul memang di babak pertama dan ini PR besar bagi Ghana ya. Dengan permainan seperti itu, bagaimana mereka bisa paling tidak bolanya bisa menyulitkan penjaga gawang Panama gitu ya. Itu dulu deh.
Ya ini justru Atiziki ya yang cukup disulitkan dan tadi juga menciptakan satu save tendangan dari Martinez. Dan ini menarik bagaimana Ghana masih minim peluang dan sangat sulit untuk menembus pertahanan dari Panama. Apa yang terjadi Bung Arul?
Iya, jadi formasi 3-4-3 yang diturunkan oleh Thomas Christensen itu sangat bisa meredam
Ya.
sangat bisa meredam winger-winger yang dimiliki oleh Ghana, di mana wingback milik Panama itu disupport oleh winger dari Panama itu sendiri untuk bisa melakukan double cover ke arah winger-winger Ghana. Mungkin itu yang membuat Ghana yang punya strategi counter attack melalui winger-winger yang kencang ini kayak Nuamah dan juga Sulemana itu yang justru tidak bisa dioptimalkan karena Panamanya bisa meredam hal itu.
Ya, dan ini kita bisa melihat ya bagaimana head to head kedua pemain, ada Anthony Semenyo dan juga Cecilio Waterman, Bung Erwin.
Ya, jadi dari statistik dari Ghana gitu. Ini final third entries-nya kita lihat sebenarnya tidak terlalu jauh berbeda ya. Dan ketika berada di dalam pertahanan lawan sebenarnya juga tidak terlalu jauh berbeda waktunya antara Ghana dan Panama. Tapi secara keseluruhan, secara peluang, Panama jauh lebih unggul. Dan saya melihat pemain-pemain Panama terutama di lini tengah ya ada Carlos Harvey dan Baisernas. Ini mereka yang bisa mengendalikan jalannya permainan dari lini tengah.
Ya, tadi menarik ya. Ini dia kita bisa melihat bagaimana highlight jalannya babak pertama dan ini dia tadi tendangan yang Bung Aro.
Iya, di sini beberapa kali saya catat ya di sini Panama melakukan progresi penyerangan melalui winger-wingernya dan melakukan direct crossing ya. Dan beberapa kali memang Lawrence ini bisa melakukan save melalui aerial duel yang dia menangkan terus.
Ya.
Tercatat di sini dia memiliki rating yang cukup besar ya untuk Ghana karena di luar dari penyelamatan yang ini sesuatunya on target, tapi Ghana bisa mementahkan semua crossing yang diarahkan oleh Panama.
Ya, dan ini kita bisa melihat ya bagaimana memang Ghana cukup kesulitan ya untuk meredam serangan dari Panama kali ini, Bung Erwin.
Bahkan beberapa kali penjaga gawang sampai jatuh bangun dan kelihatannya ada masalah ya di penjaga gawang utama dari Ghana, Lawrence Atsigi. Ya. Kita tidak tahu nanti apakah masih bisa bermain di babak kedua atau tidak, tapi kelihatan ketika keluar lapangan tadi dia mengalami sedikit masalah, juga sempat dirawat juga kan di dalam lapangan tadi kan. Ya. Ini penyelamatan satu-satunya on target dari Panama masih lebih oke dibandingkan dengan Ghana yang praktis tidak menemukan sasaran ya, tidak melakukan syuting, tidak apalagi on target gitu ya. Bagaimana on target kalau nggak syuting gitu kan.
Yes. Dan ini memang menarik yang melihat bagaimana pertandingan ini cukup minim peluang ya. Dimana kita juga bisa melihat bagaimana rapihnya lini belakang dari Panama dan juga keberanian bagi para pemainnya untuk bisa memberikan tekanan bagi Ghana. Arul.
Iya, ini minimnya peluang milik Ghana merepresentasikan mungkin ada kesalahan taktik dari Carlos Queiroz yang justru dengan materi pemain yang lebih diunggulkan malah melakukan pendekatan dengan cara counter attack seperti ini. Tercatat tadi Ghana jarang sekali melakukan trigger press pada saat Panama pegang bola. Di mana Panama ini dengan skema 3 back mereka mampu melakukan build up dengan lebih solid dan Ghana nggak ngelakuin press sama sekali. Ya. Di mana hal tersebut justru membuat Panama bisa menguasai pertandingan.
Ya, ini memang terlihat ya bagaimana Ghana terlihat cukup kesulitan ya untuk menerima tekanan demi tekanan dari Panama. Dan tadi saya tertarik dengan ada namanya Carlos Harvey. Coba saya highlight juga salah satu pemain ini di babak pertama tadi. Terlihat bagaimana upayanya yang memang sangat baik untuk membackup di lini tengah, Bung Erwin.
Ya, dia mainnya di Amerika, usianya baru 26 tahun memang dengan skema main seperti dipertontonkan Panama di pertandingan babak pertama tadi, dia mendapatkan mendapatkan ruang, mendapatkan kesempatan untuk menguasai lini tengah. Dan kebanyakan memang dari tengah didistribusikannya kan ke sayap ya, penyerangan dari Panama.
Ya. Dan tadi juga memang kalau kita ingin melihat ya bagaimana nama dari Ghana dan nama Jordan Ayew ini jadi pertanyaan. Ada apa dengan perform Jordan Ayew di babak pertama tadi, Bung Aro?
Iya, mungkin cukup naif ya kalau misalnya kita langsung memberikan highlight kepada Jordan Ayew yang justru minim supply di babak pertama. Karena di sini terlihat bahwa apa yang terjadi di Ghana pada saat fase build up, tim ini punya kelemahan di lini tengah. Di sini praktis hanya Yirenki aja yang kelihatan di babak pertama. Makanya Ayew minim banget supply untuk bisa at least membuat satu shot ke arah Panama.
Ya, dan ini kita bisa melihat ya dari highlight yang ada bahwa Ghana lebih banyak bertahan dan bermain terlalu dalam di area mereka sendiri, Bung Erwin.
Karena tidak ada pemain yang waktu mereka bisa merebut bola, bisa mematahkan serangan dari Panama. Tidak banyak pemain Ghana yang bisa untuk menahan bola cukup lama.
Ya.
Sehingga ketika tidak ada pemain yang modelnya seperti itu, bola akan cenderung untuk langsung dibuang ke depan, langsung diarahkan ke depan dan tidak lama kemudian bisa direbut oleh para pemain Panama. Pemain-pemain seperti Antoine Semenyo atau Jordan Ayew itu tipikalnya bukan pemain yang bisa menguasai bola cukup lama, mengatur ritme jalannya permainan. Bukan seperti itu. Karena Antoine Semenyo selama ini lebih dikenal dengan role sebagai pemain sayap gitu, dengan pemain yang mengandalkan kecepatan untuk masuk ke pertahanan lawan dari sektor sayap.
Ya, ini artinya memang supply atau aliran bola memang sangat dibutuhkan ya bagi Ghana nanti di babak kedua.
Satu orang pemain mungkin yang bisa dicoba untuk masuk di kubu Ghana kan masih ada Inaki Williams.
Yes.
Inaki Williams ini masih belum main, entah itu karena dia tidak fit atau memang kebutuhan strategi, tapi dengan kemampuan seperti Inaki Williams ini sebetulnya Ghana perlu pemain-pemain seperti ini ya. Kalau misalnya dia bisa main di tengah atau main di sayap, sehingga 3 orang pemain misalnya Inaki main, ada Ayew, ada juga Antoine Semenyo gitu.
Ya, untuk memberikan aliran bola agar bisa memberikan setidaknya sedikit ancaman ya bagi Panama. Bagaimana Bung Arul melihat pemain-pemain yang ada masih di bangku cadangan?
Iya, untuk Ghana masalah yang mereka hadapi itu adalah pemain di tengah ya sebenarnya. Ada nama Sibo yang bisa membantu Yirenki untuk bisa mensuplai bola. Karena meskipun Iñaki Williams ataupun mungkin Fatawi Saku bisa masuk ke dalam pertandingan, tapi kalau misalnya tidak ada supply yang bisa diberikan, sulit juga. Mungkin akan sama jalan dengan jalan babak pertama ya, kalau misalnya supply dari lini tengah nggak ada.
Ya, dan ini kalau kita melihat dari Panama juga bermain cukup baik, menguasai bola dan juga memberikan beberapa ancaman ke gawang Ghana ataupun ke lini pertahanan dari Ghana. Ini apa yang harus dilakukan Bung Erwin di babak kedua nanti untuk bisa setidaknya mencetak 1 gol?
Harus lebih tenang, harus lebih tajam, karena di babak pertama tadi mereka banyak kok mendapatkan peluang. Tapi secara keseluruhan, ini kelihatan bagaimana tim yang dilatih oleh pelatih yang sudah cukup lama menangani sebuah tim dengan pelatih baru.
Ya.
Ghana ini baru ditangani Carlos Queiroz 2 bulan, kurang lebih 2 bulan dari hari pertandingan. Dan baru 2 kali melakukan pertandingan uji coba. Bandingkan dengan Thomas Christiansen yang sudah 90 kali memimpin Panama. Jadi ketika sebuah tim dan pelatihnya sudah ngeblend, sudah menyatu dengan jumlah pertandingan yang banyak, maka mereka akan memiliki keuntungan ketika berhadapan dengan tim seperti Ghana yang baru dilatih sama Carlos Queiroz. Oke, Carlos Queiroz punya pengalaman di 4 Piala Dunia bersama Portugal, bersama Iran. Tapi ketika dia harus berhadapan dengan tim yang sudah ngeblend, sudah menyatu, dan di tim Carlos Queiroz ini pemain-pemainnya harus beradaptasi lagi dengan pelatih baru, ini yang bisa menjadi masalah. Dan kelihatan kan di babak pertama tadi, Ghana dengan kualitas pemain yang cukup banyak bermain di Eropa, cukup terkenal ya. Terkenal itu kan karena familiar, dia bermain di liga top ya seperti Semenyo. Kesulitan juga ternyata, peluangnya nggak banyak dan bahkan praktis nggak ada peluang gitu karena on targetnya nggak ada, off targetnya juga nggak ada gitu kan.
Ya, betul sekali. Dan kalau ini juga memang bisa dilihat ya bagaimana adaptasi dari pelatih dengan para pemain yang ada, persiapan tim ini juga memang sangat-sangat diperlukan. Kalau Bung Arul melihat di babak kedua nanti, akan seperti apa Ghana bermain jika memang ingin mencetak skor?
Mungkin selain memasukkan pemain baru untuk bisa mensuplai Jordan Ayew, alangkah baiknya adanya pendekatan bermain yang baru yang diturunkan oleh Carlos Queiroz karena tidak menghasilkan apa-apa untuk Ghana ya. Alangkah baiknya bermain lebih kolektif lagi, lebih sabar lagi, nggak terburu-buru memberikan bola ke arah kelebaran.
Ya baiklah pemirsa, kita sudah sama-sama menyaksikan bahwa para pemain sudah memasuki lapangan. Itu artinya kami akan segera mengajak Anda untuk menyaksikan babak kedua antara Ghana menghadapi Panama. Dari studio kami ucapkan selamat menyaksikan.
And is unable to carry on. So Carlos Queiroz is the first to go to his bench. Indeed, a change that is enforced. And this is tricky now. They come from the bench into the cauldron-like atmosphere of a World Cup group game.
It is not ideal. Remember, coming in as a substitute on a few occasions, and one thing at least at halftime, you get a bit of a feel. You can get your hands going. You get a little bit of that feel and that depth perception that you find really difficult if you haven't done a full warm up. So it's not a great situation to be in, and a lot of pressure as well, obviously in Nil.
So after a good first half by Ziggy, picks up an injury. Unfortunately, he can't continue. They're going to be hoping that this goalkeeper could do the same in the second half as we saw in the first.
Well, the big names have really come out to play in the last 24 hours or so at the FIFA World Cup finals. We've seen doubles for Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, and a first hat-trick at the World Cup finals for Lionel Messi. This Toronto evening provides an opportunity for some of those less well-known around the world, perhaps, to join the giants of the game in the headlines. Certainly somebody needs to make some headlines in this game for these two sides. You'd think we need to see a winner, some might argue, because of the quality of the other two teams in this group. Ghana starting as they mean to go on after a relatively sleepy first half from their point of view.
Yeah, Panama was much sharper in all areas, winning the second balls, winning the first. Some lively individuals. Martinez, Rodriguez, excellent. Blackman in wide positions, crosses into the box. The goalkeeper, on his 50th appearance, Mosquera, has had very little to do, if anything.
Benjamin Ashare we saw there in the Ghana goal for the second 45 minutes. And having watched that first half, he'll know physically what to expect, perhaps, as that ball is thrust into the box by those in Panama red. The oncoming goalkeeper is the only home-based player selected in Ghana's squad for these World Cup finals. And he knows how painful, literally and mentally, injury can be, having missed 18 months of football a few years back with a broken leg. Some doctors, in fact, even told him that he might want to just give football up altogether. And here he is now at a World Cup.
Yeah, he's still probably trying to figure out whether it's the pressure is what he's feeling or whether it's just the anticipation and the excitement and all these different things together in a very high pressure situation for a goalkeeper, of course, being the last man in defense.
5 clean sheets in 6 World Cup qualifying games as well, so he's got the confidence of knowing he's hard to beat behind him as Ghana look to launch the first meaningful attack of this second half. Sulemana helping it on its way in the middle. It's well attacked, but it's straight at Orlando Mosquera.
First effort at goal for Ghana on that occasion. Decent ball in. Not a ton of pace on it. Hard to get some power on the header. Keeper saves it comfortably.
Jonas Majetti, who is yet to score on the international scene, albeit with his career in its infancy really at 22 years of age. In comes the cross, which is guided away by Mensah. He played once at the last World Cup. He assisted Mohamed Kudus' winning goal in the group stage victory over South Korea. Murillo with the throw towards Waterman. He looked for Martinez, and that's given against him by the official on this near side.
The assistant spotted a handball, I believe, just jumped up and hit his hand, gained an advantage from it. Good high line for Panama defensively. They know the difficulties they would have if they were sitting deeper. Those headers would be coming in from a lot closer. Jetty gets his effort on target. Skara does very well, just gathering that simply.
Well, it'll be a painful watch for him in the second half. Lawrence Atizigi, having been involved and right in the middle of the heat of the battle at times in that first half. From his point of view, from his country's point of view, and from just a human point of view, you hope that he's okay to carry on as the tournament continues. Ghana take on England next in Boston. And here they go, looking for something. An optimistic hit from Yerenchi. And with the greatest respect to him, they perhaps wouldn't have wanted that kind of opportunity to fall his way. Not a regular goal scorer by any means.
No, and you know, it was a good opportunity too. Certainly a half chance to get something on target, but that has failed Ghana again.
We are seeing more, though, from those in yellow at the start of this second half than we saw in the first. Ayew keeping Martinez at arm's length. Majetti. Semenyo very much front and centre here as the attack unfolds, although there's far too much on that for him. Sulemana. 3 to look for in the middle if he can wriggle free, which he can't. Nicely done by Murillo.
Brilliant defending. Frustrating the wide players for Ghana.
Martinez, and moved on eventually to Waterman by Carlos Harvey. Needs a bit of support, and it's arriving now. And Waterman waits in the middle. Blackman might fancy a go. Moved on by Barcenas. Martinez into the mix. All promising from a Panama point of view.
Yeah, excellent interchanging of positions and some vision there. You can tell these players are well rehearsed and played an awful lot of football together, just lacking a finished product.
Harvey wants the ball back, he gets it for Barcenas. Just trying to buy that half a yard. Rodriguez fizzes that one across. And Ajeti made sure that it didn't fall to somebody in red who was ready to pounce.
Again, wide play, very good. Overloading, good ball into the box. Just Waterman just a little bit ahead of him, couldn't get something on it. The goalkeeper, not a great call for his defense there.
Rodriguez for Martinez, for Rodriguez. Asare has to come and does. An authoritative punch which sets Ghana on their way. Jordan Ayew. Surrounded, overpowered, and Panama start again. So much vocal encouragement swirling around the ground from fans on both sides of the fence. Rodriguez. As well to dig that out for Waterman, who had to stay strong with Ajeti at his back. Semenyo trying to make it his. Sulemana. Waited for Mensah to join in. Well, that moved a fair bit in the air and certainly had Mosquera concerned. We've had 4 attempts in this second half, which is already as many as we saw in the whole of the first. We've only been playing 9 minutes since the restart.
Yeah, a little deflection you can see on that cross there. Scarron wasn't exactly comfortable with that, wasn't sure what was around himself. But nobody took a chance for Ghana to get on the end of it.
Well, you could see for a moment there the nerves took hold until the big screen came into sight. It is the kind of game where we either have seen or will see the real mixture of emotions. Some in the crowd so proud of their country being here that maybe they get lost in the moment and don't necessarily shout as loud as they might. Some forget all of that and just give it everything.
For these players, they can't get caught in the moment, of course. Every loose ball, every throw-in, every competitive header that needs to be absolutely bang on, with group stage being 3 games and with this game being so important to these two sides, with this group being so strong with Croatia and England in it.
As I mentioned, Ghana go to Boston to take on England next. Panama stay here in Toronto to face Croatia. And then it's New Jersey for Panama against England and Philadelphia for Ghana against Croatia. Here go Panama. Rodriguez on the ground. Blackman on the ball momentarily. And a goal kick for Ghana is the end result. Movement for Ghana here, and a couple of changes to be made by Carlos Queiroz. Ernest Nuama, who was lively in those early exchanges, understandably withdrawn early in the game in the second half after such a long layoff for him. Brandon Thomas Asante emerges, who's had a wonderful season with Coventry City in the English second tier, winning promotion to the Premier League. Kamaldeen Sulemana also leaving the field, with Abdul Fatawu of Leicester City replacing him. That's going to harmlessly bounce away. Fatawu certainly has the eye for the spectacular, can so often produce. Asamoah Gyan will just be hoping that Ghana can be a little bit more threatening in the second half. How they'd love to have a full form Asamoah Gyan in their side today.
Yeah, you know, and then you just look at these individuals they do have up top. Jordan Ayew, who we know scores well at international level and has been sharp, and Semenyo as well. They only need a second, so Panama have to be aware of that opportunity, and just in a flash, one chance, you could find yourself behind.
Rodriguez up against Ajeti. Still there for Rodriguez, or maybe for Waterman. Off the head of Ajeti. Oh, it's Martinez here! Well, from his point of view, the wrong side of the net. But just for a moment, quite a few thought that was the opener.
They certainly did, and it was close. It just gets out away from him. At first touch was off, closed down so quickly. He's reaching forward a little bit, trying to get it on target, but he can't quite get it up high into the top corner, near post. Some fans thought it was in. It was so close.
For those in the stands, it was in until it wasn't.
That's right.
And in truth, it never was. Brandon Thomas Asante down, but no free kick forthcoming. Not that long ago, he was playing in the English non-league system. Now here he is at a World Cup finals. He's had a very swift rise up the ranks in the English Football League, the EFL. Now, with the Premier League beckoning for he and Coventry City. Here he is again, showing why he's been such a hot property. A lovely touch.
Yeah, he's lively. Yeah, had a great season under Frank Lampard, my old teammate at Coventry City, who's had a really good year winning the championship and heading to the Premier League once more.
Just saw Azarias Londonio there, who is going to be introduced in a moment. Centre forward waiting to be introduced. Here come Ghana. Oh, that could have gone anywhere. Had to be helped behind by Mosquera after the galloping run from Senea. Listen to that noise, that Ghanaian excitement for a corner and a promising position. Plenty to look for in the middle, and somehow it missed everyone. Jonas Ajeti looked favourite to glance that one goalwards in the air. And so the changes. Cecilio Waterman, the veteran frontman, is the first to make way. Joseph Ahalo, his replacement, and the energetic Christian Martinez also makes way for Azarias Londonio. Two centre forwards brought onto the field. An attacking move by Panama to make this game their own.
Well, I think Thomas Christensen certainly understands the importance of this, as we've talked about, to get a result, and 3 points is so important. They've had the most of the play, just lacked that little bit of cutting edge in the final third. Needs to be better. Fresh legs. We saw that similar type of thing with Canada against Bosnia when they put in attacking players and really went for it in this second half, and Panama seems to be doing the same here. We'll see how it works out for them.
Ball forward for Murillo. Rondonio. Now Blackman trying to bend one. Asare saw it all the way into the gloves.
Yeah, the goalkeeper sees that all the way, and it's very simple for him.
And now his long kick upfield is looking to set Jordan Ayew clear. Up against Cordoba. Lovely little flick, which might set Ghana on their way. Just a case of, can anyone actually control the ball? It was sliding around in there for Fatawu in particular.
There's just no time or space on the ball. It comes in there and everybody closes down incredibly quickly. We've seen that on both sides. Neither attackers on either side have been able to get that half yard to get a chance at goal, other than the early one we saw. It was well saved by the goalkeeper, Ziggy, who's injured.
Brandon Thomas Asante, Jordan Ayew is there! And last-ditch defending prevents an almost certain Ghana opener.
I got to admit, I thought Ramos got caught on the wrong side. He got a little bit ball watching, comes right across the face, and he does just enough to get in front of Jordan Ayew. Good clearance in the end. A split second, a little bit further in front, Ayew would have had a top-in.
Que tenía para embocar ese balón, ha aparecido una pierna salvadora por detrás para negárselo, cuando ya estaban los futbolistas de Ghana y sus aficionados relamiéndose porque la veían dentro. Ha sido Giovanni Ramos en, de momento, Juve, una de las acciones defensivas de lo que llevamos de Mundial.
Providencial la lectura de centro lateral. Fíjate, este aficionado de Ghana decía que si Jordan Ayew hubiera estado 2 centímetros más adelante de lo que ha partido en esa jugada, hubiera podido empujar el balón a placer. Pero como bien dices, Giovanni Ramos ha hecho la acción defensiva de lo que llevamos de Mundial, ¿no? Fantástico.
Tremendo, la tenía Ghana, podría haber sido el primero, lo ha perdonado en el saque de esquina posterior, que el remate de Semenyo no coge portería. Uy, 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 la recogía en el otro lado. Un
Ojo que
futbolista
se
de
queda
Ghana.
pisotón,
Sí, sí, es Jerome Opoku. De momento el juego sigue. Vamos a ver lo que ha habido ahí, porque la caída ha sido rara del central de la selección de Ghana. Sigue el juego. El balón que lo pelea Jordan Ayew, que se la vuelve a llevar, puede ser peligrosa. Ojo, otra más para Ghana. Semenyo le pega con la izquierda, le taponan. No había salido bien de esa acción. Semenyo se incorpora ahora, o se reincorpora al partido. Opoku, siguen pasando cosas a su alrededor. Lo tenemos pendiente, no lo olvidamos. Len Niver, que ahora le chivarán si ha habido algo o no en esa caída dentro del área del central de Ghana, mientras el peligro lo quiere poner ahora Panamá. El balón al balcón del área. Qué bien lo había hecho, cómo se había orientado ese balón José Luis Rodríguez. Le rebañaron la pelota y ahora esto se rompe. No, porque no se entienden los futbolistas de Ghana y puede ser peligrosa. Sale Giovanni Ramos, que viene de la acción defensiva y quiere también la ofensiva. Le pega fuera. Bueno, minutos de locura ahora en el Toronto Stadium. Ahora sí lo paramos y vemos Juve si había o no algo en esa caída de Opoku dentro del área. Ahí la vamos a ver.
El empujón no hay nada porque no es suficiente, pero hay un pisotón ahí
con la pierna izquierda
de forma accidental. Te diría que para mí tampoco es un pisotón de pleno, ¿no? Es un poco...
Tengo dudas. Aquí tengo más dudas que en el de la primera parte.
Claro, los puristas sacarán el reglamento.
No puristas, los puristas pueden sacar el reglamento, pero de momento a lo que nos vamos es a beber agua. Parece que ni penalti ni nada.
Bueno, nos alegramos, al menos yo. No veo un pisotón lo suficientemente intenso.
Pues ahora lo volvemos a chequear. De momento paramos para beber y ahora seguimos hablando de la polémica.
¿Una pausa? ¿O acabar con el calor del verano para siempre? Solo Daikin es Daikin. Winamax, lo más importante es ganar.
Si todos visualizamos la victoria,
es más fácil conseguirla.
eso es así.
For those 3 points, which could mean so much in this group. No goals, but positivity abounds in Toronto.
And we thought that maybe that could be the case. You know, there you see a little bit cagey in the first parts of the game and playing not to lose, if you like, and then later parts of the game actually going for it. And we've seen that with the substitutions, that it appears that both teams are going for 3.
Well, night is falling in Toronto. It's just gone 8:30 local time here. So many around the stadium settling in for an evening of celebration if their side can do something here to make the difference. Some out there in yellow still debating the contact on Jerome Opoku in the penalty area. That's what Antoine Semenyo seems to be discussing with Swedish referee Glenn Nyberg. Both sides are good to go again. Benjamin Asare will start the second half of this second half, if you like, with a goal kick. Ghana, incidentally, have never played out a goalless draw in their World Cup history. They have kept a couple of clean sheets in their 15 matches played at the World Cup. Here's Semenyo, bit of room. And Mosquera plunges upon the ball.
He's working his way into this match more and more as we move along here, and with his quality, like I said before, it only takes a split second. They look much more balanced up top.
They have to go back a fair way for those two Ghana clean sheets, incidentally. A 2-0 win against Czechia in 2006, a 1-0 victory against Serbia in 2010. Vivenci's ball on towards Senea. That's a coming together which does lead to a Ghana free kick and a yellow card for Cesar Blackman.
Yeah, Blackman gets beat here, and you can see that he's really trying hard to keep up the pace, but can't do so, and way too much contact, pulling, grabbing, officials all over that. It's a dangerous spot for Ghana here again, who delivered some decent balls on set pieces in the second half and are threatening more and more.
Well, that's what a fit and firing Abdul Fatawu can do, and he's fresh-legged, of course. compared to most out there. And it goes all towards Ajeti, who leapt really well, but didn't quite get above it enough.
That's his second really good look in this half. Off set pieces, he's under some pressure, trying to adjust. Just can't quite get it on the target.
The crowd is serenading Ismail Diaz, who's going to be coming on shortly for Panama. Cross to Murillo here. 3 in red in the middle. Trying to tiptoe his way past Mensah. He just did enough to stand in his way. And now the change will be made, and it's going to be the end for Jose Luis Rodriguez. He turns 28 in 3 days' time. A mainstay at the 2018 World Cup. But for now, his race is run today. It's another attacking change. It's another attacker on the field. Ismail Diaz, who won the Golden Boot as top scorer at the Gold Cup last year. 6 goals, twice as many as anyone else in the tournament. Understandably named in the team of the tournament. Let's see what he can produce in the final quarter of an hour or so here. Jordan Ayew has plenty in red for company. It's a really good battle between the two. And Barcenas told to return the ball to Murillo for the free kick.
It's interesting because you see those changes for Panama, but then you have Ghana who's actually putting bodies forward like we didn't see in the first, well, 70 minutes of this match, really. 60 minutes at least. Way more adventurous. And then you got Panama that are also, with their substitutes, looking to spring something and get some fresh legs going in the offensive zone, which they've lacked.
Here's Diaz. Only just on, trying to find room to either release a strike or release a colleague. Murillo back towards Carlos Harvey. Barcenas. Emphatically seen away by Opoku. Into the mix and plucked out of the sky. They're trying every which way to put pressure on Ghana there, Panama.
Yeah, they're doing so, and the goalkeeper has come in here in the second half, obviously for the injured goalkeeper Adi Ziggy in the first half, and he's actually done a fine job. Panama really haven't put him under that much pressure, not what we saw in the first half.
Foul by Antoine Semenyo. Well, let's not forget, it's so important to underline that the top 2 teams in each group go through. The best, or 8 best third-place teams also qualify for the round of 32. That's why Ajeti was desperately trying to turn that one goalwards. Because with England and Croatia to come for both of these nations, a win here could be oh so valuable and pivotal to seeing them head through to the knockout stages. That, of course, is without wanting to disregard the fact that they could well get something out of the games against Croatia and England. You never know, of course, in football or indeed in World Cup football.
Exactly. No, what we've seen in this tournament so far, we've already seen some upsets and some teams that have done very well picking up important draws, and you just never know. But this is still very important, I think, for one of these sides to get 3 points. I don't think a draw really does either one of them all that good, considering the strength of those other 2 sides in the group.
Elisha Owusu is heading off here to be replaced by Kwasi Sibo. Has been a little bit of a sense of an audition tonight in the last couple of games for that central midfield role for Ghana. Halib Yarenchi, of course, is key in there tonight, albeit he picked up an early yellow card and has certainly behaved himself very well since. Interesting that the Panama players introduced have been attacking players, whereas Ghana have perhaps introduced players to bolster the midfield to let others rotate into the attacking positions.
That's exactly it. Yeah, you're right, David. That's exactly what they've done, and it actually has worked as well, with quite effect, being much more dangerous in the second half than they were in the first.
Panama here looking to press and then having to retreat. Just over 10 minutes to play, plus whatever is added on. Semenyo watched very closely indeed, understandably so. Londoño keeping an eye. We've only had one goalless draw at this World Cup final so far. The wonderful result for Cabo Verde up against the much fancied Spanish side. So far it's been a tournament full of intrigue, full of headlines, full of wonderful goals. Touch under 43,000 here in Toronto tonight to witness these sides going head to head, looking for that advantage in the final moments. Yarenchi, Ayew and Brandon Thomas Asante in the middle, waiting for the cross here from Fatawu, with Barcenas across to slow him down.
The fact that Ghana have more players pushing the defenders of Panama and accommodating those defenders, almost pushing them into a back five into the defensive zone, whereas before they could do it with three, and only Ayew was really the one that was threatening, or the one that was the focal point, and they dealt with that brilliantly well. So the changes have worked. The threat is there for Ghana as it wasn't before.
Yarenchi adding a real element of energy there, attacking from deep. Glenn Nyberg here just reminding the players of their responsibilities time-wise with these throw-ins. If you don't release the ball within 5 seconds, it goes to the other team. And at this time in a game that's been so tight, that kind of turnover could be costly. Panama's turn to attack. Mensah, though, watching it and winning it back. Marcy Sibo turns 28 in just a little over a week. Trying to play it into the path of Mensah. Yarenchi's challenge, advantage played, and there's movement here from Harvey. And Ghana were well stocked at the back.
Harvey needed to show a little bit of patience there. We didn't have an awful lot of support and no reason and rush to hurry that pass into the 18, which Ghana just gobbled up.
That's just a great illustration of how this game has ebbed and flowed, one way and then the other. Semenyo trying to turn defence into attack. We're in a portion of a match where Ghana often come to the fore during their FIFA World Cup journeys down through the years. They've scored 4 goals in the last 10 minutes of matches. Yerenchi, Sibo, Gideon Mensah, Sibo again, showed it to Fajardo and then whipped it away. Fatawu unable to find a way past Blackman. Ben Nieberg is losing patience with Ghana, who are taking their time with these throw-ins. Remember, Panama heading for a clean sheet here as it stands. They conceded 11 goals in 3 games in their last World Cup finals appearance 8 years ago. Jordan Ayew stopped in his tracks by Ramos. Marcenas, just that calm, composed figure in the middle of the park who just knits it all together. Majetti underneath that one. Sibo as well on the swivel was Diaz. Well, we're in proper gambling territory now, aren't we? 5 minutes to play. You have a point in your hand. Do you risk turning it into 3, or do you hold it tightly?
Well, at this point, it looks like Ghana is more likely to score. We couldn't say that in the first half. Much better substitutes for Panama. So far, haven't had an awful lot of effect on the match in a positive manner. I'm really not sure what the depth of them is well. I mean, Rodriguez and Martinez were excellent for the spell that they were on. Great energy, created some opportunities. But they are the oldest squad in the tournament, so they put in quite a shift and were legless.
Fatawu couldn't quite escape. Panama go again. Yerenchi, who was on the ground a moment ago, is back up and scrapping for it once again. He was booked after 16 minutes. So 70 minutes on, he's done well to keep a lid on things. On from Barcenas. Murillo. Plenty waiting for the cross. Barcenas for the pullback. And it was always likely to sail over the top. And Ghana will make a final change. Jordan Ayew. And here's the player to come off. Prince Seydou, who wasn't involved in qualification. He's actually yet to win in his 5 previous caps for Ghana, 4 defeats and a draw. That draw coming in that final warm-up game in Wales. On from Barcenas. Diaz. Barcenas once again. 10 behind the ball in Ghana colours. Llorenci had it and lost it. Brandon Thomas Asante's after it here. He can travel with it, by the way. Tried to go through a gap that closed upon him. It's a galloping run made by Cordoba. Barcenas moves it on. Repelled once again by Ghana. As we close in on the 90th minute. Right, it comes as far as Harvey, who was beaten to the punch by Semenyo. And now what of the counter, I wonder? Here is Semenyo. Brandon Thomas Asante charging through. Is this the moment for Ghana? Well, the flag will go up belatedly. He did look to have gone a little soon, but in the end it all became a little irrelevant because he couldn't finish.
Exactly. I thought he was offside with the first look at it as well, but the official and the assistant are going to keep that flag down because it's unnecessary to put it up. There it is there. Just a half a step. Thomas Asante in on the goalkeeper. Mascara does a good job. Good shape. Squaring up to it. Brilliantly done. But a good strong run. There was a potential foul that they were looking for. Thomas Asante, it wasn't given. Panama broke away. But unfortunately for Panama, they could not get an end product.
Well, in the final moments, Anibal Godoy, Panama's most capped player of all time, gets his 160th international appearance. He will be part of this Panama effort in added time. We're going to have at least 6 minutes of that. Plenty of time to win a game of football, or indeed to lose it.
Neither side are settling for it, that's for sure, which is kind of nice from a neutral's point of view.
Pumped forward for Panama. Barcenas, he will settle for the corner. The vast majority of the outfield players piling into that penalty area. Attack against defence for a moment in isolation here. And it's well seen away. No foul is the verdict. So on go Ghana.
To say the two center backs for Ghana have been brilliant. Ajeti and Opoku just eating up everything that's coming into the box. You don't whip it in a low trajectory, they are going to gulp it up.
Brandon Thomas Asante to Abdul Fatawu. Panama swiftly back into position. An all-important header away with Brandon Thomas Asante ready to pounce on that. It was Godoy who was right in the thick of it. Diaz. Ghana go again with Mensah, who now wears the armband after the departure of Jordan Ayew. Ayew trying to find a gap. There aren't many out there at the moment. Here is Godoy. Back to Barcenas, who always seems to be free, ready to collect possession. Diaz, nicely worked, but the cross is overcooked. Yerenchi, Semenyo, poking it forward for Brandon Thomas Asante, who skips away from Cordoba. Ghana could be in business. They are! Right at the end, Ghana find a way to make the difference.
El chaval lo aguantaron con la varilla todo el partido y le da la razón a todos lo que dicen. Este chaval tiene cosas, este chaval es futuro del fútbol de Ghana. Pues mira, para la primera victoria en este Mundial 2026, se la llevó Thomas Asante, el futbolista del Coventry, siguió, percutió, pisó área, tuvo la pausa necesaria para encontrar, para ver la llegada de su compañero de Caleb Yirenki, que tuvo que llegar solo para empujarla, pero vaya gol, qué importancia, los 3 puntos que se va a llevar la selección de Ghana. Te iba a decir que bien buscó el segundo palo, pero es verdad que le dieron facilidades, pero da igual, vale, marca Ghana, marca Yirenki, Ghana 1, Panamá 0.
Mala acción de José Córdoba en ese balón al espacio para Asante, ha ido al suelo, has llegado tarde, Asante te ha ganado por esa punta velocidad y tú por ir al suelo te has quedado fuera de la acción defensiva y ahí a partir de ahí se ha complicado todo mucho, ¿no? Es un balón que recuperan en el centro del campo, lanzan la transición, balón a Semenyo, Semenyo se la pone al espacio a Asante y Asante con esa velocidad consigue desbordar, ¿no? Estos son pequeños detalles. José Córdoba ha ido a la desesperada pensando que yendo al suelo podía tener más opción de poder robar. Si hubiera aguantado de pie, hubiera llevado o hubiera acompañado a Asante hasta línea de fondo y le hubiera dificultado el centro, pero no siendo así, facilita a Ghana ese gol. No sé si merecido o no, pero en cualquier caso Ghana también lo ha trabajado, ha hecho una buena segunda parte a mi modo de ver y creo que este 1-0 pues hace algo de justicia en el marcador.
Celebra Queiroz porque lo ha vuelto a hacer en una selección que estaba hecha unos zorros hasta hace poco. Y le va a dar la primera victoria en el Mundial. El rostro, el contraste con las caras de los aficionados de la selección panameña que lo han visto cerca, que lo han tenido ahí, ese primer puntito de su selección en la historia de los Mundiales. Iba a llegar en su 4º partido, lo tenía ya prácticamente amarrado y se le ha acabado escapando. Queda tiempo todavía, pero esto está prácticamente finiquitado. Es perro viejo, Carlos Queiroz, y si no te coge al principio, te va a coger al final, y así está alentando a las masas en su 5º Mundial, porque la selección de Ghana va a debutar. Le ha costado, no ha sido el mejor partido, ni mucho menos, pero salvo milagro va a sumar la primera victoria. Y a ver lo que quiere alargar esto ahora. Glenn Niver lo que quiere alargar no el partido, sino el saque de centro, porque ha mandado a un jugador a cambiarse la camiseta y ahora nos dice, o les dice a los panameños, oiga, que hay que sacar bien de centro. Bueno, pues volvemos a repetir, venga, estamos en el 97, ahora sí Niver, ahora sí, una para Panamá, ¿le queda o no le queda? Balón frontal, por arriba, la ventaja es para Semenyo, se la va a quitar de encima, la aguantó, estuvo listo Asante, pero no, dice el colegiado que el balón tocó precisamente en él. Amir Murillo, yo creo que esto y se acaba. va a colocar el balón directamente al área. 97 de encuentro, gana 1 Panamá, 0 Caleb Yirenki, que le está dando la primera victoria al combinado de Carlos Queiroz. Se queda el balón corto, tocó un futbolista de Panamá que quiere seguir luchando. Ahora, pues mira, le ha sacado la falta y vamos a ver si puede ser peligrosa o no. En la falta de Prince Adu, se metió ahí por medio el futbolista panameño, reclamó un golpe en la cara, se lo concede Glenn Niver, y yo creo, Juve, que esto va a ser lo último.
Pues sí, yo creo que dejará sacar este balón parado y aquí morirá el partido, ¿no? Veremos a ver.
Esto y se acaba, parece. Las caras cariacontecidas de la selección de Panamá. Sube el Cuti Mosquera. Y si tenemos el primer gol de un portero en este mundial. 98 de partido. Viene el centro, Joel Bárcenas, pasado, la busca Orlando Mosquera, el balón suelto, se lo queda Sare. Bueno, ahora lío, la ha tenido Panamá. El balón fue a la cabecita de Orlando Mosquera, que volvió a colocarla. Y después, en el remate, creo que ha sido de Ismael Díaz, no ha podido darle fuerza, se lo quedó a Sare. Y después ya el lío. Y vamos a ver cómo para esto Glenn Niver, que se lo mira todo, tiene una amarilla en la mano.
Tiene una amarilla,
así que va a empezar a desenfundar.
Necesita 8 manos,
sí,
con
sí.
8 amarillas.
Al
final
ver,
se la lleva el que le da una patada
a Zarías Londoño.
A Saré, cuando ya no había posibilidad.
Hay otra más ahí, bueno, parecía que se calmaba, pero no sigue la cosa. No sé si Carlos Harvey ha visto también la amarilla. Vemos la acción repetida porque el balón ha ido a la cabeza directa. Qué bien la ha ganado en el salto Orlando Mosquera, que ha sido muy clara para Ismael Díaz, que le ha picado abajo. Es verdad que no ha podido darle demasiada fuerza. Se ha caldeado esto al final. Sigue la cosa caliente entre los jugadores de Ghana y de Panamá, pero Joel la ha tenido ahí Panamá y ahí se le va a escapar.
Bueno, pues oye, también ha sido una facilidad que le ha dado Ghana, forzando esa falta innecesaria en la última jugada del partido. Semenyo le estaba broncando a su compañero, ¿no? Es decir, ¿cómo es posible que le des la opción a Panamá de colgarnos un balón al área en la última jugada? Pero bueno, lo han defendido y ya está, ¿no? Creo que el partido va a morir aquí.
Golpe importante, el que le ha propinado Carlos Harvey a Benjamín Asare. No está la cosa en Ghana tal y como ha empezado como para perder a otro portero, porque entonces ya nos iríamos a por el tercero si es que se hubiese lesionado el guardameta que está ahora, Benjamín Asare, y si Atizigi tiene para más de un partido. Parece que se va a poder recuperar el guardameta de Ghana, que está siendo atendido. Si no, ya nos iríamos a Joseph Anang, al guardameta del Champats. Pero bueno, estamos en el 100, hemos llegado al minuto 100. Esto tendría que haber acabado ya hace unos minutitos. Hemos vivido de todo en el añadido. Casi todo lo que nos ha faltado durante el resto del encuentro se ha dado en estos 10 minutos que llevamos ya de añadido. El gol de la selección de Ghana, que le va a dar la victoria. La desesperación de los futbolistas panameños.
Señores, terminado. Ghana 1, Panamá 0.
Va a tener que esperar un poquito más si le quiere dar el primer puntito, la primera victoria o algo más a la selección
Panamá
pero
0.
también en cómo ha caído la selección panameña, que le ha planteado problemas a Ghana. Es verdad que ha ido de más a menos en el partido, que tuvo ese arranque efervescente, que lo fue controlando después bien Ghana para ir creciendo en el partido y para acabar imponiendo la superioridad que le presuponíamos al inicio del encuentro. Y estoy yo hablando seguramente antes del tiempo porque estamos en el 101 y esto no acaba, así que vamos a ver si le queda otra. Balón arriba de la selección de Panamá, la quiere pelear, se la va a llevar a Zarías Londoño, que protege la pelota, va a conseguir sacar algo de ahí, la pone atrás a Mir Murillo, esto se acaba, Mir, la pone con mucho criterio, se va un pelín largo, no va a llegar Giovanni Ramos. Y ahora sí, dice Glenn Niver que hasta aquí, que 101 minutos son más que suficiente. La imagen del partido, la de Carlos Queiroz, que ha conseguido darle su primera victoria a Ghana. Lo comentamos ya, ha ganado Ghana 1-0.
Terminado. Panamá 0. Ghana 1, Ghana.
Terminado, finish. Finish, Ghana 1, Panama 0. Vamos, Ghana.